Bay win the NFC South.
As Bruce Arians once said, I'd rather learn from a win than learn from a loss. Happy Victory Monday, everybody. What's good? Let's talk some Tampa sports. My prediction was that it was going to be a tough game, but in the second half the Bucs would pull away. Never happened. They didn't pull away. It was just a tough game the entire way. It took overtime and some luck for the Buccaneers to get past the Panthers, but a win is a win, like it says down below right here. And when you look at a team's record, there is a win column and there is a loss column. There is no column that says ugly win. There is no column that says blowout win. A win is a win, and that's what the Bucs did on Sunday. I've seen a lot of negative energy post-game, even today, on a glorious Victory Monday. Guys, the Bucs won. We know that, right? Do I just need to... You know the Bucs won, right? Was the game how we wanted it to go? No. Was it ugly? Yes. Did the Bucs deserve to win the game? Probably not. But that energy is really? Really? Negative energy? I said in my preview I knew this Panthers team was going to fight. They were going to fight for their head coach, who was going up against his former team. And this Panthers team is right now having their first real taste of momentum in a long time, probably a couple years. And they beat the Saints, which resulted in the Saints firing their head coach. So doing that to a divisional opponent is a big deal. Going overseas, beating the Giants, and then going toe-to-toe with the Kansas City Chiefs. Your young quarterback that you spent a first-round pick on, everyone has been trashing, is improving in front of everyone's eyes. This team has a sense of momentum despite their record. And that is a dangerous team. A team with nothing to lose, momentum, fighting for their coach, a coach that really wants to win that game. And oh yeah, it's a divisional game. I feel like that's some key, a really important key that is going over some people's heads. Like, it's hard to win in the NFL already, but to win a divisional game is very tough. Just rattling off the top of my head, I know the Browns have beaten the Ravens this year. The Browns have beaten the Steelers this year. We just watched the Raiders on Black Friday go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs in Kansas City. On Thanksgiving, we just watched the Bears go toe-to-toe with the Lions at Ford Field. These divisional games are tough, regardless of opponent, regardless of record. Teams know each other very well, especially given that the other team's head coach in this circumstance was a former play caller for this team and went up against Todd Bowles day after day. This is a tough matchup, regardless of how you want to lay it out there. A 3-8 team against a 5-6. It was a tough matchup. Shoot, just look at last year. The Panthers were even worse then than they are now. And both of those games last year, especially the one in Carolina, were not pretty. They were ugly wins. This is just how divisional games go. I mean, and the Bucs were on the end of the lucky side finally this season when you look at how the Falcons game went with the face mask not being called and the Kyle Pitts fumble, but they left it as a touchdown. Like, we finally had luck on our side, and sometimes that's what it takes, and I'm good with it. I've been a Bucs fan for way too long to not enjoy a win like I'm seeing some people do. I remember Cam Newton, Greg Olsen, Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly, Josh Norman, all of these guys beating up on the Bucs for years. You think I'm not celebrating this win because it was ugly? Wrong guy. I've been through too many 2-14s, 4-12s, 5-11s. Come on now, y'all. The Bucs are not too good for an ugly win. Look at what the Chiefs have been doing in the entire season. I'm definitely not too good for an ugly win. I don't think Bucs fans should be too good for an ugly win. It happens. It's the NFL. Anyways, I feel like I'm trauma dumping on you guys at this point, but the point is, we can be critical of the team while enjoying a win. We don't have to poo-poo on everyone's parade just because it was ugly. Now let's get to that critical stuff, because how the Bucs came out, I mean, slow, sloppy, didn't seem engaged, didn't seem focused, flat, lack of fire, all of that terminology that you want to use. You could fit that Bucs team, honestly, quarters 1 through 3 into those adjectives. The penalties were just consistent. Barton had a rough first half snapping the ball. That exchange with Baker Mayfield just seemed off all day for some reason. Special teams about made me lose my mind. Trent Gill. It was not good, buddy. It was not good, and he was released by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, it was that bad. It was that bad. Both of Carolina's touchdowns were set up by Trenton Gill's mistakes. One bad punt led to a Carolina touchdown, and then that late touchdown by the Panthers, they got to start the ball on the 40-yard line because of a penalty on the kickoff where he did not kick the ball far enough. Baker possibly had his worst game as a Buccaneer. I mean, when you just look at this season, the Denver game was pretty bad, and then this game was not good for Baker. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I mean, really the only guy helping him out was Mike Evans. Baker Mayfield's quarterback rating yesterday, a 9.6 QBR. That is the lowest qualifying QBR game in a win this season. So all of the teams that have won this season and all of the quarterbacks that won those teams' games, Baker yesterday, that was the lowest QBR of all of them. It was not a good day by Baker, but when it counted the most, like we know Baker is capable of, he stepped up to the plate, threw all of the bad stuff that happened earlier in the game out the window. 30 seconds on the clock, we need a field goal, boom. You got to give him credit for that. He has guts. We know this. He's a gamer. He's a baller. Like, this is who Baker Mayfield is. There are going to be some downs, but this season it's been a lot, way more ups from Baker Mayfield this year. Liam Cohn wasn't great yesterday. I would have loved to see him stick to the run a lot earlier on in the game. It took, third, fourth quarter for him to really get that run game going. Just, here you go, Bucky. Here you go, Bucky. Here you go, Bucky. And it was just chunk right down the field. But I do understand there were so many penalties in that first half where the Buccaneers offense was in a negative script. So they kind of had to throw the ball. So there were some ups and downs. I mean, you can't say he had a bad game. I mean, 236 rushing yards. He clearly found something and attacked it when he needed to. Like I said, I wish it was a little early on, but goal line, I didn't think goal line was great either. End of the day, it is what it is. He found it later in the game, was able to stick to it, and the Bucs were able to score when they needed to. How about Bucky Irving yesterday? Ladies and gentlemen, finally getting that running back one workload. Just like I said, here you go, Bucky. Here you go, Bucky. 25 carries, 152 yards, 6.1 average, and a touchdown with that 43-yard rush being his longest. Rachaad White looked great too. 11 carries for 76 yards with a 7-yard average. Like 6 to 7 yards a pop is crazy. And before the game, in my preview, I said, Carolina has the 32nd, dead last, ranked run defense in the NFL. Run that rock. The way we've been running this year, run that ball. Mike Evans, massive game from him. 8 receptions for 118 yards. And that touchdown, one-handed grab, somehow still just does things that can surprise us. He's been doing it for a decade, and it's still, your jaw kind of just drops when it's just like, oh, okay. But really not much else in terms of production from the receivers. I mean, Jalen McMillan had a big catch in overtime. That drive didn't lead to anything, but he did have a pretty big catch in overtime. That's that 22-yard long. Sterling Shepard, some good run after the catch. I mean, Trey Palmer, nothing. Ryan Miller, nothing. Raheem Jarrett, nothing. So, still struggling to find that second receiver. Bucky Irving after the game, though. That man was beat up. Halftime, he was hobbling off the field. He comes back, puts together his best rushing game of his young career, and then after the final, in overtime, hobbling even more off the field. And if you saw him in the tunnels, he's a dog.
We got it.
The injuries, I say this every video, it's just not stopping. Needless to say, Baker Mayfield and Bucky Irving are both going to be limited all week at practice. Mike Edwards and KJ Britt both got injured during the game and did not return. So a couple more hits to the defense that does not need any more hits. Time to give out our salutes. Salute to Mike Evans getting back on track for that 1,000 yards. It was funny. They asked Baker Mayfield about that record and if the Bucs are trying to get to it, whatever. And he just rattled off the top of his head. Yeah, Mike Evans needs an average of 99.5 yards per game to reach that. So this entire offense knows about the record and they know that they want to get that for Mike. Step in the right direction, 118 yards. Let's keep it moving. Bucky Irving, don't even gotta say anything. Bucky. This one is a under the radar one. I haven't given him a salute so far this year, but one of the most improved players on the year. And if I'm gonna try to put together a film video on the Bucs run game, you guys are going to see this guy if I put that video together. He is looking good. Athletic, landing his blocks, impact blocks. Cody Mock. Salute. Keep doing what you're doing. And then, of course, saving the best for last. The guy that saved the defense. Saved the Buccaneers. Saved Todd Bowles. Anthony Nelson. Stripping the ball after Adam Thielen gets the Panthers in field goal range with a one-handed catch. You thought that was the dagger. Anthony Nelson saving the day. By the way, just had a baby boy on Friday. He missed practice for his wife's birth. So that strip that saved the Buccaneers was not even the biggest part of the weekend. What a weekend for Anthony Nelson. Salute, Nelly. That's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts on the game. Go Bucs. Y'all have a blessed one.